And we are live.
Welcome to the Apex Strengthcast. Strength training for everyone. This Strengthcast is brought to you by Apex Strength. Oh, shit. I was doing so well. Anyway, welcome to the Strengthcast. Today, we have one of Australia's strongest drug-free lifters. I think he'd be, top 3 in all federations in tested. Tony Reinmuth. Tony we advertise him as the heaviest drug-free squatter in Australia, but Dan Curry has him by 2.5 kilos. And, we broke that news to him today.
Devastation.
So Tony achieved a 922.5 total in Oceanias last year with a 372.5 squat, 232.5 bench, and a 326 deadlift.
326 deadlift is the best I have done.
Wasn't it the Oceanias?
317 and a half.
317. But you went 7 out of 9 and still got a 922.5 total, not far behind the best being was Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone with, I think it's a 944 total.
944. And you could say you're not far off, hitting those numbers to achieve that total, because considering you went 7 out of 9 and you're 922.
Yeah, so. It's pulling all 3 lists for me together in one competition does not happen very often.
But when it does.
But the one magical day when it does will be the day that fire rains from the sky.
Well, and it's like one of those things, the more advanced you get as a lifter, the harder it is to pull together that perfect comp as well.
Yeah. Deadlift seems to be the one that is always a little bit hit and miss at the end, depending on how hard the day is, how hot it is, and all those factors. But my deadlift is always the one that decreases first on the day.
Yeah. Particularly because you go balls to wall in the squat. It's obviously going to
squat 372.5 kilos in knee sleeves.
Yeah.
And no supportive equipment.
It's not going to make your legs and back feel great for deadlifts.
Yeah. Well, you see in the heat though as well that the IPF just had that Nauru comp, Nauru Championships. I'm not sure the exact name of the comp, to celebrate, I think, Nauru's independence. But almost all the lifters underperformed.
Yeah.
And I was messaging a couple, and they was just like, it was so hot, so humid. Apparently people were sitting in water trucks that were ice, that were cold to stay cool. Like the chalk just clumped because it was so hot. I mean, you know what it's like trying to chalk your back when you're sweaty. Yeah. Well, times that by 50. It was real humid.
Even
no aircon.
The natives, like Nauru, people who competed in that comp, did they?
I haven't spoken to any of them.
Because you think they'd be used to training in it. You think
Jezza squatted. What was it, 445?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
His best squat's 460 something.
Yeah.
467, I think.
Yep.
Again, don't be upset if I'm a couple kilos off. It's within that ballpark. Because we have had people go, you said 355 kilos, but actually it was 355 and a half. Sorry. Tony, really big squatter. Thank you for coming on today. We're really excited to have you on. Really big lifter, I should say, not just squatter. Your bench has made leaps and bounds in the last year and a half. You've put massive amounts on your bench press. But what got you into powerlifting? What made you want to compete? What made you want to do it?
So very early 2013 was my first comp at the Melbourne Summer Bash. I had only walked into a gym for the first time 12 months before that. I just started copying the bodybuilders that were around the gym.
We've all been there.
Wondering why I was lifting more than them, and they looked real big and strong, and I was just a real pudgy guy rocking around the gym. Couldn't work out why they weren't lifting real heavy. Turns out I was just blessed with some strength and was really strong. About 2 months training by myself, I got a personal trainer, started training him, focused a little bit on weight loss to start with, and I think at my lightest since I was about 12 or something, I got down to 110 kilos.
I want to see 110 kilo Tony.
Yeah.
Training with that trainer, and he started taking me through a little bit of the strength stuff and was blown away with what I was lifting. So he looked up the Melbourne Summer Bash for me. He goes, you want to enter this comp? I think it'd be good for you. I said, nah, look, I'm more interested in doing some boxing and whatnot. He goes, you'll never be a boxer. Don't pursue that path. I reckon you should do a strength sport. So, okay, so we trained, started training for that. I had never squatted before, couldn't squat. Had to squat with a broomstick because I had no balance.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, just fell over, just falling over on the gym floor because I couldn't squat without a broomstick.
Yeah.
Balance. Progressively through 6 months, got better and better. Went and entered the Melbourne Summer Bash, my first comp. I'll just pull up numbers because I don't remember. A 220 kilo squat I got in that. I bombed on bench at 140 because I had no idea you had to pause it.
It's such a I just want to point out straight away that I laugh because I can't imagine you in that situation. And people won't be able to imagine that situation when they see squatting 372, benching 232, totaling 920 plus. It's hard to you forget.
You see
that
in
these
the
crazy
light,
strong people, that they all had an awkward first comp or awkward second comp.
everyone starts somewhere.
I didn't even warm up in the back room. I had no coach or anything. I didn't know what to do. Everyone's warming up, so I did some push-ups on the ground
Jesus.
as a warm-up.
Yeah.
Bombed my bench, and then I got a 260 kilo deadlift in my first comp.
And how long had you been training for?
That would have been about 12 months worth of training.
Yeah.
Well, 12 months, and that was
In the gym.
in the gym. Hadn't been in a gym before that.
Yeah. So that's 12 months from the day you walked into a gym, and then no specific strength training. You've just been focused on losing weight, general conditioning. You said you wanted to be a boxer, so you would have done a lot of cardio.
Yeah, I did a lot of just not boxing training, but boxing styled cardio.
Yeah.
And my trainer said, we've got to stop this. His shoulders can't handle going through that because I can hit pretty hard, but I would never hit anyone that can just tilt their head a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So
fast.
when did you start, let's say, strength-specific training?
Probably when I started looking at the next competition after that, because I did enjoy that first comp, even though I bombed. I hanged around. I watched all the ceremony afterwards, or the not ceremony,
Medal
just
presentation?
The presentation, yeah.
the presentation. One thing that did blow me away at my first comp was the girl lifters. The girl lifters, they look like these real strong girls out the back training in the lycra suits. I hadn't been in that situation. And then just in the presentation, they just look like normal girls standing around in normal dresses and whatnot. You wouldn't even pick how strong they are.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I took away from that competition.
Did it help you realise that it's literally open to everyone?
Yeah.
It's that sport. It's not like you have to fit. It's one of the best things about powerlifting. You don't have to fit in some specific box. You don't need a specific build. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing you took away? So
Yeah.
did it make you feel more welcome as well?
Yeah, very, very, very much. Very welcomed.
And 2013, it would have been less common to see that as well. So it was obviously your first time you've seen anything like that.
Yeah. I didn't know how anything worked. I was younger and dumber.
So
That was a real eye opener, that one.
you've done your first comp. You met the people. You enjoyed it. You bombed, but you're like, hey, I actually like this. What made you want to keep pursuing it? What is it about getting strong that keeps you in the sport? What really, after that comp, attracted you to it and to stay? Because it's one thing to do a first comp and go, oh, this is kind of fun. And it's another, kind of, like you did, jump headfirst in. And
I looked at the progression I'd had with strength in the 6 months to that first comp, and then looked at the next comp and went, well, if I've improved that much, the sky's the limit. On the next one. Obviously, it doesn't work that way, but when you're young and you're first lifting, that's how everything looks to you. I think that's how most people look. Then I lined up my second competition, which was...
Tony's using open powerlifting just to look up his lifts from his first few comps.
Yep.
He's done a lot of competitions. It's hard to remember all your lifts.
Yeah, so my next competition was 6 months later again, in 2013. It was the Battlers Novice Comp. I weighed in at 137.
Was that, how much did you weigh in first comp again?
130 at the first comp.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice
7
kilo jump.
Yep.
Yep.
And this is how long after this? First,
6 months.
Comp? 6 months after?
6 months later again. I squatted 230, benched 160, and deadlifted 320. Which 320 at the time was 3 kilos above the Australian deadlift record for 120
6 month
plus.
progression.
What's incredible about that is that 6 month regression 1, that's insane that you got 320, but your squat was only 230 at the time, but now you're squatting 270s, nearly 370, nearly 380, or went for 380, and your deadlift is still around that 330 mark?
Yeah. Probably, it's really hard for supers to maintain their deadlift. Usually it goes backwards. It hasn't. I don't know how I've done that.
Yeah, you've gotten so much stronger, but manages to keep it there.
Just to clarify here, Tony is 5'8", and it's kind of hard to see in the camera. You don't really get an idea of how big he is. He's like just a massive human being. So he's 5'8", broad as hell, and 160 kilos. Like
Yeah.
he's just a man mountain. He's a huge dude.
Yeah, try to imagine like where's that weight? Like,
Yeah, like it just.
I'm
It's all
taller than you and
behind
close
the
to
camera
half.
Can't see it.
Yeah.
I'm taller than you and almost half your weight. Yeah, it's crazy.
So 320 second competition, 320 deadlift.
Yeah, and then just looking through the years, my bench and my bench and squat has gradually progressed as my weights progressed, and deadlift stayed the same.
When did you do your first 300 squat?
In my 4th competition.
So that's still crazy progression though, from 230 on the second comp to 300 on the 4th comp.
Yeah,
That's a 70 kilo jump.
yeah, it did. It jumped really quickly. In my 3rd comp, I successfully did a 290 squat.
At what body weight?
140.9.
Yeah, so nice body weight progression. Like wasn't crazy jumps, but like you milked the gains.
Yeah.
So you put on 3 kilos and you put on 60 on your squat.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's a good trade off to me.
So let's talk about any injuries over that course. Anything small? Anything serious?
I actually started powerlifting with a shoulder injury after coming off a motorbike after camping when I had been drinking too much.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It wasn't a crash or an accident. It was I fell over sideways while sitting on the motorbike and overextended my shoulder.
Oh man.
Yeah. Motorbikes are dangerous, man.
That probably niggled for about 3 years and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
That injury doesn't exist anymore. Have not done.
So scientific, man.
Oh well, I never got it looked at. Never
Take
went
it
to
from
a
Tony,
doctor.
if you ignore something for long enough, it tends to go.
He's
away.
like, it just clicks now.
Yeah, or it doesn't.
It just like every now and then it just falls out the socket.
Push it back in.
Where was I? I've completely forgot where I was now.
Injuries.
Injuries.
Yeah, no, I have not had an injury.
Yeah.
Like general
Knock on
soreness.
wood.
Yes, I'll knock on all the wood. General soreness, which I think just comes with training a lot of the time.
And strains and whatnot here and there, but nothing serious, yeah.
Nah, nothing real serious. Maybe slight pec strains when my bench first started moving
Yeah.
towards the 200 mark.
Yep.
And now it just feels real solid and strong.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
Slow progression, I guess.
Again, yeah, like nice steady progression. You're not doing anything crazy. I mean, like you only put 70 kilos on your squat in like 8 months.
No,
but
anyone can do it. It just depends how much you want to eat.
that's true. Definitely like got some good progression when I bulked to 145. So you've started competing. You've discovered that you're a fair bit of a freak in powerlifting. You just get stronger. Like you started off with a good base, good steady progression. How do you train? What's the normal training week? What's the normal training block look like for you? How do you structure it? And people aren't going to believe. People aren't going to believe it. I'm always forever telling people, you're not going to, unless you know Tony, you're not going to believe it.
Yeah, I am naturally gifted with strength and recovery from the workouts I do. I train out of Melbourne Uni with my coach as Rob Wilkes. He sets up my training cycle, which I pretty much only do half of it. I do
And does
very,
half of it.
very, very little of the accessories.
And they're not a high volume training cycles either, by the way. So Tony legit does 3 sets of squats a week.
I do heavy squats, 3 by whatever the cycle is at. On
So that could be 3x10, 3x8, 3x6, 3x5.
Yeah, it just slowly goes down in reps and up in weight as we get closer to the competition. I do heavy squats on a Monday, heavy bench on a Monday. Bench is generally 6x3, and then 4x5 board presses.
Oh, you started doing your board presses.
I do them at the start and the middle of the cycle, and then as the load starts wearing me out, I stop doing them in, say, the last month.
Yeah, fair enough. But I
Which-
remember when
which
I
has-
trained at Melbourne Uni, I
it's
never
worked.
saw you
My
do an
bench-
accessory ever.
My bench has moved since
Yeah.
I've structured it like
And
that.
what's crazy is your bench has gone up. Where like Anthony, when he started training at MU, his bench went down like 30 kilos.
Yeah, but that's Anthony.
Yeah,
well,
but that's
Tony-
that's
Tony
pointing
went from
out.
doing 6 sets of 3 a week to doing an extra 4 sets of board press. So like you almost doubled his volume.
Yeah.
Well, he over doubled his volume. That's good. So squats 3 working sets a week,
Yeah.
and then benches 6 heavy. Now the 6x3s they are heavy,
Yes.
in the Wilkes method, and then you've got 4 sets of 5 on board press. Nice long pauses, and that's day 1 done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's day 1 unless I decide I want to do some of the accessories, which I might do some of the accessories mid-cycle, or will start doing more now as my working hours have changed. I can get to the gym sooner, which means I do have more time and I'm not getting home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night
Yeah.
after driving home for an hour.
What would accessories look like for you?
Dumbbell bench press, and I would one day like to be able to do some what are they?
Lat pull down.
Well, not lat pull down when you pull
Pull-ups.
Lat pull ups.
Pull-ups,
So
yeah.
I'm starting to do lots of lat pull downs.
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, and start with a heavy band, like
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
start doing them. That's a
Yeah.
good way to
see you do
start.
some pull-ups.
And it's like Anthony
Get
and I
rid of that
both.
stigma that no supers can.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wade
Anthony
Williams.
proved people wrong when he was doing, because even when you were about 140, you were starting doing pull-ups. You could do like what 6
Yeah.
at body weight, which is for a 145 kilo man. That's a big deal though. You got the most like 80 kilo guys who can't even do pull-ups. So it's
Yeah.
you know.
So that's day 1 training.
Yep.
So as it stands now, because you work a lot, 3 exercises
Yep.
most of the time, and then you come in on a Thursday.
Coming to Thursday. Thursday is deadlift day. Same cycle setup as the squats. Come in.
3 sets of deads.
Everyone will be warming up, doing their pelvic rotations, and I'll just walk up and start warming up for deadlifts.
Yeah.
Do my deadlifts, and generally I used to always just leave after I did my deadlifts.
So he'd come in, do
Yeah.
3 sets of deadlifts, and then go.
Yeah.
So that's Tony's training for the week, or up until, well, he wants to change it now because he's got more time.
Last 3 cycles I've been doing all of my lights.
Yep. So
As
in the
well.
Wilkes method, the lights are literally 50% ish of your working weights on the
Yep.
on the day 1. So he come in if he's squatting 250 for 8 or 6. The day 2 you'll squat 125.
Yes.
For 6. They're nice and light. But yeah, come in and do 3 sets of deads a week. He'll do 3 sets of squat a week, and then 6 to 10 sets of bench a week. And that is how you total 922 kilos. 3 sets of each a week.
Don't forget about that dumbbell bench.
That he doesn't do it.
and thinking about doing pull-ups.
Yeah. As long as the
It's the
intention's
thought.
there, your body will
You just
adapt.
think about growing. You know?
Tony's body's like, no man, you don't need to do anything else. I'll just get stronger. Watch, just go home and eat. Now, we do joke about it. We have a laugh. Look, it is unusual for someone to get that freakishly strong for that. I want to say little work. Now, obviously, Tony's, doing sets of 5 or can do sets of 5 on 300 kilos. So the toll on his body is going to be a lot more. So he actually couldn't go in and do these super high volume programs. But it's still we like to poke fun. But the man has a hectic lifestyle. So, he does the training he can recover from he does a very physical job. So, if you go in there and you killed yourself 5 days a week, you're probably going to go backwards. You're not going to feel good, probably going to injure yourself.
When I first started the intensity bench cycle, I found my bench did not progress at all because I was doing everything all the time. That was on the program. And as it started getting towards the end of the program and I started dropping off the accessory work around the bench, it started getting easier to get through the working sets, and the bench started progressing again. It stalled for about 6 months until I worked out it was because I was just knackered. My body couldn't cope with it.
Yeah, so what a good point is, so you don't have a sedentary job, you have to stand up all day for your job, right?
Yeah. I work at a panel shop as an assembler, working on cars all day.
Yeah, and I guess it just points out that even, someone who doesn't have a sedentary job can still go to the gym, train, and get strong. So it's no excuse for people, who are, I work a hard job. It's
100%. And that's the thing, though, is sometimes less is more, right? So you literally squat 372 kilos off of one squat day a week. People aren't going, or maybe one light day on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Because I know you don't do them all.
When you trained with me, I did not do any accessory. I did absolutely zero.
Okay, so you're doing that better. Okay, so let's say one active recovery squat session, right? Yeah. But people can't comprehend that. I don't believe that a lot of the time. If I tell someone...
You're starting to make me not believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm the one doing it.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
That's the thing, though.
I think I figured it out.
What?
He's a 162 kilo man. He's got to stand up all day.
Yeah.
He's squatting all day.
No, my point here isn't to tear you down or anything. It's to say that, as long as you're getting good quality work in, you can do a lot off of little. And if you are, like when I was concreting, right, I did way less than I do now because I just couldn't handle it. Remember when I used to concrete, I used to add in this is when I trained at Bubba I add in all this extra stuff. I'd be like, why are my shoulders wrecked? Why do my knees hurt? So yeah, it's completely understandable. With that said, why don't you just take us through what a normal day looks like for you upon waking up, what time you get up, what you do for work, and also let's touch on what you eat.
Okay, so I start work at a half an hour drive away from where I live. So I start at 7:30. I'll get up about 6:30, have a shower, whatnot. I don't eat breakfast. I just have a coffee, go to work, start working. I'll have smoko at 9:30, and just buy something off the lunch truck. I did do some meal prepping for a while, and the guys at work complained that I filled up the whole freezer. We have one small fridge between 20 staff members.
Oh.
Yeah.
So a week worth of meal prep in the freezer was just out of control for them. They couldn't handle it. They're putting my stuff in the fridge and I'm going, well, I think I put on 4 kilos that week because I started just eating it because everyone was moving it out of the freezer so they could fit their stuff in. So I stopped doing that. I only meal prep probably a couple of weeks out of a month now. And then that's only a couple of days at a time. So I buy 90% of the food I eat.
Yep.
I try and stay away from fast food, but a lot of the time I can't help myself. So I try and either get chicken or Subway or KFC. It's not a healthy diet, but it's not the worst diet I've ever seen either.
So if you go... So this is the thing, though, is like... With the area you live in, it's quite country...
Yeah,
it's quite rural, I should say. It's
not rural. It's out of east. It's just it's on the fringe of.
And you'd be the outlier there, like looking at what you eat and stuff, right? Like a lot of it would be a lot of fast food with the guys you work with as well.
Yeah. When I go to the lunch truck, I generally stay away from the back section, which is all your pies and whatnot. Yeah. Maybe I'll get a croissant once a week, and I try and get chicken wraps, high protein, and then on training nights I'll always buy some milk. I was at one stage just drinking 2 litres of full cream milk and then waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning feeling like I'm going to explode and die.
That's one way to get calories in.
It was one way to learn not to do that. Then went lactose-free milk and just always drink milk after my training sessions. It tends to make me less sore, recover quicker.
Yep. So lots of milk, lots of food. I assume that the volume would be quite high, but I remember when I sat down and had to talk to you one day, you don't actually eat as much as I expected.
No, I don't. But then again, I don't burn as much calories training as what, say, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was on the volume of food you probably eat, I would probably be 180 kilos now.
Yeah.
Because I just don't burn that much calories. I do still have about 4 meals a day, so I'll have smoko, lunch, I will eat after work, and then I'll eat after gym.
Yeah.
So
you get up at 6:30, go to work. What time you finish? Up until recently, it's quite late, right?
Yeah. I used to start at 8, and then I'd finish at 4:30. But work was hectic, so I wasn't finished until about 6:30 most of the time. Then I'd head into Melbourne Uni from there, about a 3/4 of an hour drive. Probably takes an hour from, say, driving and then walking in. Get in there at 7:30, do my train for 2 hours. Then just hightail it home because it's getting close to 9:30, 10 o'clock already before I'm even back at the car to drive an hour home.
What's bizarre about the whole thing is you don't eat breakfast. I mean, you look at all the higher level athletes, they'd all be like, oh, you need to have a breakfast in order to, get your metabolism going and get the extra meal in so you can eat more throughout the whole day.
If I don't eat breakfast, if I don't eat for legit, and you know this, Tyler, if I don't eat for 5-6 hours, I get really lightheaded, get sick feel I'm going to pass out. I've been tested for diabetes because I thought I had diabetes or something, and no, I just
We always talk about this in the gym, that if there was ever an apocalyptic situation, Anthony would be the first to start eating people. And it wouldn't be long.
2 days, I'd be like, oh man, I'm getting hungry. Hey, we're almost out of beans, guys.
Already eaten all the shoe leather.
Yeah. So quite hectic now. Real physical job. Long hours, 10-hour days, but at a physical job, makes it feel longer. People go, people might go, I do 10-hour days. If you haven't done big days in a physical job where you're on your feet all day, lifting stuff all day, you don't get it. You don't get how wrecked you are by the end of the day as well, right? And then, but that's not just 1 week, it's years.
Yeah.
You've done that for 10 years, right?
Easter this year I will have been where I'm working for 15 years.
Yeah, so a long time. What are your tips for, you said you get in there, you get your training done, and you get out. What are your tips for that attitude of just getting it done? You're like, yeah, look, I've had a shit day. I've had a long day. Today was real hard. It's hot. It was 40 degrees. What are you thinking when I just got to go in there and do it?
It's an ability some people have, but I can just walk up to a bar and switch on instantly there and then. Same in competition and same in training. I don't hype up much. I don't need to get excited to do it. I just do it. Sometimes it becomes sloppy if I'm not switched on enough. Most of the time, I'll just switch on and do it and get it done.
True. You don't scream, you don't have antics before you lift. You just squat 370
At Oceana's just gone, I tried to get real hyped up for my last 380 squat attempt. Got real hyped up, got slaps, scream, yell, walked out and just squatted all the way down to the floor and hit the floor.
Yeah.
Not something I do. Probably not something I will pursue to try and get better at. I don't see an advantage in it.
It's over arousal and just a high bar being more technical than a low. But in saying that, when I first started powerlifting, I came to MU to train one time with Anthony, and I remember the room atmosphere changed when you were coming to do your squats. So it's not that you yell or anything, but I remember the atmosphere of the room was like, oh, okay. Tony's squatting.
Yeah, because he's motherfucker, you got to pay attention because if 300 comes down, and he's doing it for reps. And the other thing, I think it's just I remember I'd trained for just over a year when I went to Melbourne Uni. I thought I was pretty strong. I'd a 265 squat, a 300 deadlift, 170 bench. And I go to Melbourne Uni, and I think what it is it's kind of and you don't get it unless you've seen it in person. It'd be with any big lifter. But when there's someone in there just, and especially, if you don't know Tony, he's legit, anyone that meets Tony, he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Everyone loves Tony. I legit, and,
super humble.
I ask you to come on, super humble, he doesn't, he's always there building up newer lifters, weaker lifters, because that's just the person he is. He's just the nicest guy, super humble, and real genuine, right? But, and that's the thing, you don't need to be arrogant. You don't need to tell people the strongest. One, you can see it, but two, like, it's super humbling for other people and attention grabbing when someone's just sitting there squatting 300 for reps and not making any sounds. So like legit, and that, I get what you mean by atmosphere change, but it's because like, you know, you just see everyone stop and start spotting, and all you hear is, and you're like, how much? Holy shit, that's 300 kilos for reps, like, and it's just like not making a sound. It's like it commands, like, you know, I guess respect and attention, right?
Yeah, and it did, but that's the thing. But that's the thing. Yeah, you weren't looking for that attention. It just comes with the fact that you're doing something incredible.
Strong as hell.
Yeah, I don't get off on getting lots of attention. I don't seek it. Like, I even struggle with that sort of thing to even try and promote myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got, what, 300 and something Instagram followers, and you rarely upload.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. So I'm trying to do it more, and it's not really for any specific reason other than people are telling me, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, start posting something. So we
Like,
can see what
legit,
you're
I
doing.
said that at the start of today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it was you probably when I tried to use Instagram a couple of years ago, and it wasn't Facebook, so it didn't make sense. It just didn't work. And then, now that I've been using it, it's an easier platform to actually post from than Facebook is.
100%.
Yeah, I think we've all switched.
So I guess with that, it's just that whole, like, you've just got a mindset, so you just go in there, you get it done. It's literally something you can just turn on. Like, and I think that's not super common, right? Like, but that's what I guess that's why, you know, you're such an outlier with your lifting as well. I remember Tony coming down to Nationals 2016, coming up to Queensland. And he'd been at a wedding the night before. He'd gotten like 3 hours sleep and still put together like a mid to high 800s total off of like 3 hours sleep, having drank the night before. And he got there, he's like, haha, I feel like shit. And then it was, no, okay, it's time to lift.
Yeah.
It's not common.
So that's the only competition that I think it was 2016 Open Nats that I've actually lost weight, like, and a decent amount of weight going into.
Yeah, we had Robert Wilkes on the cast 2 weeks ago, and he mentioned that you came in like 8 kilos lighter than the night before or something crazy.
So in the competition before that, I was 151, and at that Nationals, I was 144.
Yeah.
My squat
7 kilos.
Squat suffered by 17 kilos. My bench went up 7 kilos.
Oh, wow.
And my deadlift stayed essentially the same. It was two and a half less, but I probably had to go at 330 and missed it again.
That's not bad after a night of drinking and partying.
Yeah. I didn't drink a lot. Like before I started powerlifting, I used to work a week to earn money to go and drink with my mates on the weekend.
Yeah.
I did used to drink a lot. Never by myself or anything like that. It was always with mates. Then I started really cutting down on my drinking because it was hurting my lifting, and I wanted to progress. So that's one thing I cut out.
Yep.
6 months ago, I even cut out smoking. I quit smoking.
Used to be a heavy smoker.
That made a world of difference.
I saw you vaping now.
Yeah, vaping.
Good on you, man.
Vape Nation.
Because like you weren't like even like a 1 or 2 days. You were like a heavy smoker.
I used to think about quitting, and I'd smoke 2 packets a day because like just screwing up on nicotine before I quit, and then try and quit cold turkey. And it's like that is always going to work.
Yeah.
For about 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, good on you, man. Now we'll start wrapping up. We've got some questions and stuff, but first of all, biggest goals in powerlifting. I know we went over these before.
Yeah. So by December next year, I would like to have 1,000 total, which would look something like a 400 squat, a 250 bench, and a 350 deadlift. That's the idea, but it will most likely end up being a over 400 squat, and because my deadlift just hasn't moved.
Like a 310 deadlift. It'll go down.
Yeah, it probably will.
But like a 290 bench or something.
Yeah, but that's the goal. I'd like to be able to get to that 1,000, and now that we're with World Powerlifting, that might be good enough for a first at the Worlds one day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, like, you think, I mean, Jazz is gone now. We met, so I don't think there's any big supers in World Powerlifting doing damage yet. I mean, I think you got now, I mean, now there's you, there's Joe Whitaker.
Yeah.
And Tyrone.
What about Daniel Curry? Who's he with?
He's Australian Powerlifting Union.
He is? Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, there's you guys. But really set the stage. I mean, there'll be ones up and coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're good goals, man. 1,000 total really separates you from the pack, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's not many people specially tested in sleeves doing that. I'm sure there's a few, but like, you know, they're few and far between. That's when I think you really separate from the pack, when you like go from being like a super that's pretty strong to being like, ooh, man, that guy's like, and not to say 922 isn't a massive total or anything, but that's one of those things where most people will never reach.
Yeah.
Like most people aren't going to total 1,000.
Yeah, most people are reaching for a 900, not a not 1,000.
Exactly.
So,
like it just separates you from the rest.
And what you got to consider, I guess, is that it's a new federation. You know, you want to set the standard. Yeah. This could be, 10, 15 years, your record could hold, or you could be the guy be like, oh, he's totaled 1,000 kilos. That's what everyone will be chasing.
Yeah.
And, most likely someone's going to come along and they'll out-total you eventually, based on the fact that just humans are just getting stronger as we get smarter, we train smarter, we eat smarter, genetically speaking, we get, better athletes. But set the standard. Yeah.
Hopefully I'll set the standard and no one can break that record and they have to freeze the record and just start them over again.
Now we got some questions from some people Insta. Now we've heard how Tony trains. This gentleman's asked, what's the most important thing you've done to build your squat, or what are the most important things?
Consistently, just consistently train. Consistently look to improve in your training. Like, I might not train much, but I do train very, very specific.
And hard. Like, it's not like you're going in there doing, and that's the thing. Like, we should clarify, you're not doing 3 easy sets.
No.
Like, they're heavy weight, they're hard sets, and I guess like always trying to improve your form as well.
Yes, very much. Like, I do have a unique squatting style too. I haven't seen really anyone else competitively squat the same. So it's hard to coach people on squatting when you've got a squat style that you don't see people just drop and bounce.
But effectively, right? And efficiently.
Efficiently doing it.
So consistency. Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't miss sessions. You always listen to your cues. And, if you can make every rep of the training cycle perfect, your 1 rep max is going to look good.
The cleaner and easier you make your training sets, the better your training becomes, the progression comes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. Like, definitely something we tell our lifters too, though, is like, treat every rep, try to make every rep perfect. Treat every rep as it's important, whether it's a warm-up or it's a top set.
Yeah.
Or a 1 rep max. Like,
and then when they miss weeks of training, we just go, look, if you don't do as well as you expected, like, don't blame us. Like, consistency is key with this sport.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you don't miss sessions, and that's what we're saying. Like, Tony doesn't miss sessions. He goes in there, he kills it. Another one, do you think you're genetically gifted, or did you have to work hard to be where you're at?
I definitely would have to be somewhat genetically gifted. I remember when I was in year 7, arm wrestling year 10s and 12s at the back of the bus.
Yeah.
And winning consistently.
Yeah.
When I was real young, like say 7 or 8, I used to walk up to my brothers that were in their 20s at that time and put my head between their legs and just lift them off the ground.
Jesus.
Yeah, strong.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was strong. It took me a long, long time to realise I was strong and not just, throwing my weight around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from the fact that you do train hard.
You have to train to get stronger. You can't.
Yeah. We were talking about this before, how...
You'll never see someone who doesn't train squat 300.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And we were talking about this before, you do have a hard job, very demanding lifestyle. Like, you'd love to be able to go in there and train 5 days a week and recover from it. But it's just not reality for you. And that's, it's just unfortunate that someone so strong, still has to do so much, physical labor. It'd be great if there were money and power. So unfortunately, there's not, as it stands now. But, you still train your ass off, and to the level that you can.
So if there's any sponsors out there
that want to pick up
a guy...
Let him train 5 days a week. He'll total.
Possibly the first
Any
Australian
sponsors
natural.
Want to sponsor the laziest kind of strong or the strongest kind of lazy? I'm your man.
That's so good. What's your best piece of advice for new lifters to the sport?
Look at long term. You're not gonna skyrocket to the top of any list in your first 4 years. It's a long-term sport. I've been told that you don't get good till you've been training for 10 years. And I believe that. I don't reckon I will hit my peak till I've been training for 10 years consistently.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely like a long sport. That's advice we get from a lot of people that come on, with just like time and consistency.
Yeah.
They're your best friends in powerlifting.
Yes.
It's not gymnastics or anything where you've got a very short career, very young. It's the opposite of that.
It's like saving for a house. You're not going to wake up and have the money. You got a little bit all the time. You always got to be doing something.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the saying that in like powerlifting, it's who's in it for the longest ends up winning.
Yeah.
So it's the one who stays injury free, the one who lives for more years, ends up being the one with the biggest total. Usually.
So in the supers, it's usually whoever lives the longest.
Yeah, it makes sense. What's the average life? Like 40, 50?
Oh, probably the same as sumo wrestlers. About 60 years they live for.
Hey man, big dogs. Big dogs die young.
Everyone goes to the circus to see the elephants.
30 years a lion, or 30 years an elephant.
It's a sad reality.
Yeah.
And now we know you've got some good stories for us.
Yeah, okay, so I've got some good ASADA stories. I get drug tested on average about 4 times a year out of competition and generally about twice in competition. So I've been drug tested a fair few times. The first international competition I went to was in New Zealand, and I had a pretty good run. I got a 310 squat, I think about a 170 bench press, and I don't really remember what the other was. But I was watching these guys walking around. They're going up to all the really good lifters. Thought, they're getting sponsors. That's mint. And then one approaches me after I finish my lifting, and it's ASADA drug testing. Shit.
You said that in front of them?
No, I said it to myself quite a few times and have said it to myself quite a few times more often. So that was a bit of naivete on my behalf.
Are you scared?
Yeah,
Are you
like
scared of failing?
Yeah,
Never.
because they'd be thinking that. They're like, "You're gonna fail, aren't you?"
I'm scared of not having enough piss for the piss test because they always choose to test me after I've just gone to the toilet.
Yeah.
So that was my first real encounter with drug testing.
You thought that was sponsors?
I thought they were sponsors. Turns out I was very wrong. So I have been drug tested quite a few times. A couple of months ago, I got drug tested. I'm currently living back with my parents with my niece. And me and an ASADA person will not fit in my toilet for them to watch me pee. So I say, let's go into the bathroom. I'll stand in the bath and do what I have to do. I'm not shy. Just come in. Because the door opposite the bathroom is my niece's room. She doesn't need to walk out and watch someone watching me. No one wants to see that.
Uncle Tony, what's going on?
Yeah. Just go back to bed. It's okay. So I invited him to come into the bathroom, and he goes real stalkerish and goes, "No, I'll just stand outside the door with it open a little bit." That's going to look even worse to my niece again. So I say, "No, just come in. Just come in. I'm not shy. Just come in." No, I'm good where I am.
Oh,
thanks,
man.
Uncle Stalker. Peeping Tom, straight through the door.
That must have been so awkward.
Just made it weird as hell.
Made it weird. I'm trying to make it not weird, and he proceeded to no, I'm going to make this weird. So that was probably my most awkward drug test I've ever done.
Yeah.
And that was a real recent one. So I have done a few. And somehow they managed to come up with these new ideas to make it weird again. Another good story was not long after I took on my niece, I moved in with some friends that were going to help me out with my living situation. I ended up living in a shed at the back so that my niece could have a room in the house. And I just happened one night to fall asleep on the couch, and it was the morning that ASADA knocked on the door to drug test me. They knock like police. They knock to really let you know they're there. My housemates were in the room closest to the front door, so she shot out, answered the door and go, "There's no front light. Who's there?" "We're from ASADA. Do you have an athlete living here?" "No." How about a powerlifter?" "Oh, yeah, we got one of them." Thanks, housemates.
Yeah. Don't understand what it is you do. I eat all this food to be, top of my
I
game.
swear I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
I'll tell myself an athlete. The rest of the world can be right and tell me I'm not.
Oh, that's funny. It's always and talk like I've been drug tested as much as Tony. It's always going to be awkward.
Yeah. Well,
But,
Asada probably knows how I train, so they probably assume I'm on drug too.
Yeah. But they can make it way worse and way more awkward. Oh man, stand through the front door.
Do you have any crazy lifting stories? Whether you've seen someone do something crazy, like what's impressed you? Like what you've seen a lot of competitions, a lot of world competitions.
I don't know. I reckon the scariest thing I've done in powerlifting was probably at Texas Worlds. I bought Anthony a singlet that said "drop it like a squat" after he tore his quad. I didn't know whether it was too soon. It probably was, but he laughed, so it was okay.
It was good. So Tony and I shared a room, and I just tore my quad 2 days before, a day before.
Yeah.
So I'm in the room, just chilling, eating, drinking, and Tony comes in and is like, "Hey, I got you something." And I was like, "Oh man, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I ate my hand." I'm like, "How sweet!" Tony's bought me something, which is really
That's when you know he feels bad for you.
Yeah, and then he pulls out this singlet, and he's got this dumb shit-eating grin on his face, and he just hands it to me, and I look at it and just drop it like a squat, and I just lost it. I laughed my ass off. It was a good play. It made the situation better. I've actually told that about how coming back in the last seminar I did about coming back from injury and that, but how that helped me have a better outlook on it.
Yeah,
you got to
laugh
about it.
You got to laugh. Yeah.
So thanks for that. I still got that singlet too.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Keep it forever.
I'll keep it until you do something, and then I'll give it to you.
Yeah, he didn't forget that.
Yeah, no, that's locked in the bank. I got you.
Well,
any comments?
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
we thank you for coming on.
You are a legend of sport, awesome guy. We love having you on. Definitely want you back on. I know you live a ways away, but
I'll always come out here to see you guys.
cheers, man. That's sweet.
Cute.
Aw. But we have a lot of respect for Tony. Definitely, if you ever see him at a competition, he's really friendly. Reach out.
Yeah.
He loves people.
Always come have a chat to me.
Yeah,
I'm easy.
always happy to have a talk.
Even if I'm waiting to go and lift, I'll still chat.
He's the chillest guy on comp day. Don't be intimidated by the weights he's lifting. He's super chill. Just all around good guy, as you heard from today. Thank you so much for coming on, and I can't wait to see. He's lifting in April at the Fitness Expo. If you want to see him, and then you're going against Whitaker again. He's coming down for it.
Yeah, his training's looking good.
Yeah,
his training's looking very good.
Version to, round 2, you versus Whitaker.
Yeah.
Yep, and you can follow him on Buckets 1989. Tony Reinmuth.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much.
Peace.